Hello, everybody, and welcome to ABM Answered, the quick-fire Demand Gen ABM video series, or at least that's what we aim for. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Amber Bogie, who is the Director of Go-to-Market and Account-Based Innovation at GoTo. That's quite the title. I believe you do kind of some like consulting too, or around the side. But yeah, Amber, if you'd like to give a bit of background about yourself, that'd be great.
Yeah, thank you for having me. As you mentioned, I'm the director of go-to-market and account-based innovation at GoTo. I've been a marketer for close to 15 years. I've spent most of my time in the SaaS space. I grew up and fell in love, with the SaaS space and worked at various stages and ages of companies. And I've really, I guess they say cut my teeth in the ABM world, having done ABM now for around I think it's around 8 years. I've done, all the flavors of ABM at all the different kind of various companies, industry sizes. So very intentionally, wanted to have breadth of experience, around being able to implement a multitude of types of ABM strategies, if you will. And I guess because I grew up doing it when ABM was coming up and becoming more well-known, there was, I want to say, more flexibility in kind of trying things out because there wasn't a lot of, community or like literature out there. There was like a few things that talked about it. So there was a lot of, kind of taking your own and making it what makes sense for the business, I guess you could say.
For sure. And that's a considerable amount of experience considering ABM hasn't really been around that long. So yeah, I guess you're one of the pioneers of it.
Definitely not.
On the forefront then. So to run you and the viewers again through the rules, in this case we'll be given 7 questions to respond to all about ABM and Demand Gen. Questions have come from or been adapted based on the challenges we've collected at Extrality Rims, where over 1,000 marketers have gone through and stated what their biggest headaches are. But also, we've started to include previous guests' questions. So, Amber, are you ready to rock and roll?
I'm so ready.
Yes, nice. The headache one that came in is kind of crafting a differentiated value proposition. So I think this is speaking more about to like kind of like the saturation at the moment of the market. So I guess kind of how do you make GoTo stand out, or any company in this case? And yeah, have you got any kind of tips or workflows around that? It's a kind of a hard hitting question one, but
starting softball, are you? My instinctive answer is you should be really closely aligned with your product marketing and your product team.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like your avenues for solving different at various sized organizations, right? So at a smaller startup, or was literally, previously at a Series B, much smaller organization, I was much closer to the customer. I was much closer to like the smaller sales org. Of course, product marketing within marketing, and product team. So there was a little bit more, because we were a smaller org, there was a little bit more need to be able to go and find out those things myself. Of course, you go directly to the teams, but possibly you're working through the problem with those teams to figure it out. Why can't we, get into the enterprise? Why are our deals falling at this stage? There's a lot of digging that's necessary, a lot of listening to gong calls, a lot of talking to customers, or through product marketing, kind of learning through your customer success team, learning what's going on and what people are saying. The sales team, the front line, where are they losing? There's just a lot of information available to us. We just have to seek it. And then again, so like at a larger organization, there's a lot bigger, more spread out, a lot more kind of linear focuses. I'd say a very similar thing would be, okay, something's not working. Is it the campaign messaging? Is it the sales? Is it the sales process and the sales messaging? There's a lot to look into. It's not just like, just do this sequence and then that's it. It's figure out what's not resonating. There's a lot of testing, and there's a lot of hypothesizing. about what's not working. If you have the answer, then we'll rectify that.
How often would you, I won't, this must be quick fire, but I'll keep the follow-up questions to a minimum, but how often would you, and I imagine it's a bit longer in bigger organizations, but like say product marketing, kind of crafted a message, how quickly do you implement that feedback? Like how often are you iterating? Is it daily, weekly, monthly? Does it depend? There's an
I think
escape
it
answer.
depends. Yeah, I think it depends. I think that it would be kind of a luxury for people to have that frequent of kind of like of a feedback loop. I think that we tend to struggle to have enough, I think, changes and modifications. I think there's a happy medium because you need to have message in the market for enough time to know that it's working or not working. If you change it too frequently, then you're not getting enough time to see if it is working. So I think that it's it's very dependent on what is the campaign, what is the messaging, what is the medium. Like it really, really depends. I mean, are we talking about some bullets on your demo request page? Are we talking about, a sequence? Are we talking about a very specific industry verticalized campaign? It's going to vary. I mean, I guess there's probably not like a single time frame that's the right amount for, it's I guess it's our job to just be aware and kind of like being like in a kitchen with like 17 pots going. You kind of just have to be going around and checking things all the time, and maybe you just peek over there because you have to get over here because this thing's on fire. I think as a marketer we have to try and balance and keep everything on the stove from not exploding, and making sure it gets cooked enough, and finding that balance.
That's a great analogy. Yeah, I didn't think I could ever hack it in a kitchen, but if you
Right.
phrase marketing like that, I mean that could work. Problem 2, maybe a little easier, and maybe more of a technology question, maybe not. Was personalization at scale, which is kind of an oxymoronic term in ABM, I guess. But yeah, like kind of when it comes to personalization, I'll open-ended question. Like, do you do it at a one-to-one basis, a one-to-many basis, one-to-few, and maybe potentially some examples of kind of your workflows?
I think that everyone has to determine first and foremost, what does personalization mean to each person? Because, there are levels and varying degrees. I think that personalization can be as general as pain points and persona based, and then as specific as, one person at one company and their very specific role, responsibility, and or personal life. I am not really a fan of personalization at scale via like mass automation for the purpose that it's like a literal contradiction of what account-based methodology is. And I'm not against doing it. I'm just, let's be clear, that's not an account-based method. It's a mass way to automate and bring in levels of personalization, but it's much more of like an outbound kind of like messaging play, widespread. So I think that, like the most important things are understanding what personalization is, defining it for you and defining it for your organization, accepting and not living in denial that using an automated sequencing system at scale with AI is not account-based anything. It's an outbound sales motion. And then also kind of like move a little, step back a little bit and say, that sometimes you have to find ways to scale at personalization to make your strategy work for your business. And that's where I've developed what I've called one-to-one campaign motions, where I have bucketed groups of campaigns based on persona, pain points, etc., driven them to the same landing page, the same messaging with the same pain points, but delivered one-to-one display ads, one-to-one email cadences, one-to-one, a gifting play where I'm layering personalization at the very top and then bringing them into a generalized. And then there's the opposite, right? You can do the exact flip-flop, which I think might be a little bit like less scalable. But I mean, that to me, I've always felt like is, scaling personalization. going to do a one-to-one strategy, really need to have, kind of figured out like what is that strategy for your business. And I don't think there's like right or wrong ways to do an account-based strategy, but there are right and wrong ways to name and brand them and speak about them, kind of externally. And it's contributed to like the misinformation and miseducation of what certain things are. So I know you've spoken with, and you've had, I think, Davis on one of these episodes too. His enterprise ABM strategy and like the one-to-one ABM strategy is very clear, very outlined. It is a dedicated headcount. It is like 3 to 5 campaigns max per year. Those campaigns run for a year. The ACV average is 400K. It is a dedicated, bespoke, one-to-one personalized campaign. That is one-to-one. And I think that when we're all trying to figure it out and make it work, we have to look at what the strategy is, what the methodologies are, and ultimately find what makes sense for our business and take the ingredients and make the recipe in our own kitchen.
Keeping on that kitchen theme, I think that might be the best answer I've ever got to that question. Very in depth. Nice. Wow. Smashed out of the park. Problem 3 was a question from Brandon Alisklu. Don't know if you know him. He asked, how wide would you push an email campaign? So like within an account, obviously there's more stakeholders than ever involved with some decisions. If this is not relevant to you, we can skip to the next question. But obviously you can go straight for the jugular and go after the say you're selling HR tech, you go right after the HR manager, but obviously learning and development departments can be involved or whatnot, what have you. Yeah, do you kind of have like a framework? Do you pick 1, 2, 3, 4 people to reach out to per organization? Or how would you encourage kind of sales to approach their email campaigns?
Okay. Yeah, I was like, I need follow-up questions to answer the question. I'm like, so this is a question for an outbound sales play?
Well, the question was simply how wide do you push your email campaigns within an organization was like the parameter I've put it in. So how many people would you reach out to? Or take it however way you want. I mean, that's the question. That's how I interpreted it.
I will take it and then just talk about my emails things. Well, the most annoying answer of all time that is this a standard marketing answer or is it just my answer? It starts off with, well, that depends.
I've heard it a few times, yeah.
Here's the thing. What is the buying group size that your organization's, within your organization's product offering? Who are you going after? It's like HR, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so how big is the buying group at this company? It's like one within the industry, kind of like general size, but then also massive scale at a business. So it depends because it depends on who the buying group is. And that's going to vary. So at one company, the buying group is going to be one person. It's going to be 3, 4 at another. It's going to be 10, 15 at another. You read these stats and they say the buying group is, up to 15 people now. I take it, I guess, at face value, but I'm not really totally sure that I've met a buying group that's 15 people. I'm like, because if you think about it, you've got the ultimate decision maker, which we're talking about marketing. Okay, we've got, let's say it's the CMO, but it might be a VP in a different organization, right? CMO, VP, and then it's going to, I'm sorry, I'm getting lost in my head thinking about all these different nuances. The long and short of the answer is, it depends. Back, 6 or more years ago, gave the round number of 5. It's just go after 5 people. I don't think that you're going to destroy things by going after 8 or 4. I think that you just have to be thoughtful about who you're going after and what you're saying. I think probably more important than anything for a sales sequence to the same company is going to be not sending the exact same message to all 4 of those people. Because if it is a small enough organization and you do talk about it, sometimes you do share a little bit of nuance to the email. I think that, in the beginning you're warming up, a decent amount of the buying group. then you're kind of nurturing the buying group, but then you're really honing in and personalizing and kind of maintaining maybe 1 to 3 of those people that you tap into, people that you have on your first meeting, once you start learning more things. But yeah, so that's kind of like on the sales side of the thing. I mean, when it comes to general email, like, because any email question is like, well, are we talking about marketing automation or are we talking about sales emails?
Mm-hmm.
Like, which one are we talking about? With marketing automation, I think never underestimate the power of a nurture campaign, and it's how it can support like your entire just marketing strategy, how it can build a ton of brand demand and advocacy, but also don't underestimate the damage it can do.
Well, that actually conveniently flows in. I should have asked for more parameters around that question as well. I'll go back to Brendan on that. But the next problem was middle of the funnel jam. So I guess that is nurturing. So how do you nurture your accounts or help sales nurture their accounts?
I mean, there's so many different, there's a very standard kind of answer of, you nurture them based on where they are in the funnel. You nurture them with the content based on where they are in the funnel. But then there's and I'm a believer of that buying journeys aren't linear and you can go all over the place. And I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like, sorry, I'm just like getting stuck on a thought here.
All of this, there's no stress as well. We can edit all of this.
No,
I'm more conscious of time. Are you okay for time?
No,
sorry.
I'm okay. Oh yeah, I'm okay. Yeah.
Okay,
sorry. I totally took more time of yours by just talking.
No, I love it. I love it.
I am okay though.
Yeah.
No, I'm just thinking like sometimes I just feel like marketers, like we ask the same questions over and over again forever and ever. Sometimes I don't know that that there is this clear and cut answer, and like the thing to do is just to continue to try and to continue to market and to continue to place effort and to continue to question and to continue to evaluate and continue to test. I think
so perhaps a better way then to frame this is there like an example of a campaign? So they say that you should follow up with value, not the whole just checking in to see if you've seen this. Are there particular like reports or presentations or, hey, we'd like to invite our CEO to talk to you? Or is there any like kind of, well, that's a no-go.
No, I just think you really need to know. Listen, I just think that good luck to you all. No, I think that, I mean, to me, if somebody is like, meet the CMO, meet the CEO, meet the this, that, and the other, I'm like, that doesn't resonate with me. For me, that's not the move. It might be for someone else. It depends on that person. It depends on the organizational culture. For me, it's about understanding what is going on with me and my business and my strategy and my priorities. And if you send me something of value, and I mean value in terms of learning, education, knowing that I'm working on a particular thing, and you send me, whether it's a piece of content that's specific to your business and is talking about that pain point, or even it's an external thing, just letting me know that you're thinking about the problems that I'm trying to solve for is reestablishing and reminding that you're looking to be a partner in the work that we do together. I think that goes a very, very long way. I really appreciate when the salespeople make that play. 3-6 months, they know where we are, stuck in an opportunity when in reality that means there is no opportunity, but they have an open opportunity that's like $0 because in 19 months we might close because we want it. We just don't have a priority right now. I sincerely have appreciated, the sales effort to send me a particular, asset podcast, webinar, etc. That's, hey, I saw this and I thought of you. Just leaving it at that.
Nice. Yeah, probably the best way to add value, really. You'll be glad to know the next question's a bit easier. Well, potentially a bit easier. Henry Clark asked, if you could pick 3 things for your dream tech stack, what would it be? Like, what are those tools you can't live without?
Oh gosh, I always have a hard time with the tech stack questions because I've never really looked at tech as ABM or not ABM.
Okay.
I'm just like, these are marketing tools and these are the things you need. Mm-hmm. So like, do we have marketing automation covered? Like, do we already have that? Because we need that. Do we have do we have our CRM? Do we have the basics here? Okay, because can't live without these things.
Let's not waste points on CRM. Yeah, we all know.
I'm just there's so many important ones. Okay, we need a tool. I prefer working with a tool that provides you some level of data analysis, account analysis, ICP analysis, intent analysis, directional data, if you will. You know what I'm referencing? Those are ABM tools, or they're just tools that help you target accounts that are best fit for your company. So that's one. I don't know if I can choose 3 because I want 4. The second is some sort of, I don't want to say website personalization. I want to say landing page personalization, content experience personalization, that kind of thing. Worked with Uberflip in the past, Path Factory these days. Path Factory and Uberflip are under one family now. There's lots of other kind of other ones out there. And then I'm a big fan of gifting, leveraging gifting. I think that it goes a very long way. Also a fan of Reach Desk. I've worked with them for several years and I continue to use them as a product. And I've used gifting for pretty much like all of my marketing career, and in particular at Reach Desk. And, possibly because I worked within the organization, I saw the massive power because we drank our own Kool-Aid and we used it. And the sales team, they just really, they did it right. They did it well. And we had really good responses to certain campaign types.
So a follow-on question on that then, because I'm just purely curious. Sendoso, Reach Desk, probably the 2 biggest players. How is there any defining, like, so say you're an ABMer looking to pick a gifting kind of provider. How would we can't speak on behalf of Sendoso here, can we? And it's not slating them or anything like that, but like, is there any difference, or is it that like a price sensitive decision of like how cheap are the gifts on this platform to this platform?
I think that's a complicated question.
Okay.
Both. I think the best thing to do is to look at, product comparison checklists, does this, does that, has all of these things.
Yeah.
G2, obviously, great place to make comparisons. Sendoso made a name in the market first. Lots of others came up, grew up behind them. I feel like for a lot of people, of course, price matters. And I think that in the last several years, companies have been very competitive. So I don't think that it's, someone maybe is, but it's not really, around the price. A lot of people who I've spoken to over the years, a big determination that moves them for or against is around international needs. So warehousing internationally, shipping internationally, sales teams, on site internationally, etc. Having worked at Reach Desk, I know, firsthand, we were very, very strong in the international space. And we had warehouses, globally. And so, there's a lot of differences, and I will, keep my very clear biases out. And I've used all the tools, and, so it's really what, fits best for your business. You really need to address what your business needs and whether or not, whatever tools out there, are they going to be a partner to you? Because I think that's another thing that really is just talking about the strategy of gifting is actually can be a deal breaker, is if you're not leveraging it. You need a good partner. You need to make sure, this is any tool, just any tool. If you don't have a good partnership, if you don't have, your CSM, their support team, if they're not truly invested in your success, then like they're going to lose you eventually because you're not going to be set up for success and utilization of the tool. So that's not a warning, but that's like a, for everyone out there, every tool. That is period. Any tool.
Sure. Well, this is flowing surprisingly well, because the next question is actually on on the CSM front, upselling within enterprises. So,
gosh, there's a lot of it's so funny. So many of these, not just like your questions and the questions we're talking about. So many things that like marketers struggle with, that we talk about. they really, like, if you follow the roots down, go into like the go-to-market organization and structure of the business and the priorities of the organization. It's like one of those things where you can't unlearn, you can't unsee once you see things. And so I hear the question, and I think it has everything to do with what is the strategy and what is the setup of the organization, who's responsible for what. When it comes to upselling, upsell, cross-sell, the whole motion, you have a lot of variation in who runs that and who owns it. You sometimes have a sales team that does that. Sometimes they are sales. Sometimes a sale is net new, cross-sell, upsell, customer. They own everything. Sometimes there is a dedicated customer team that works. Once the initial sale goes through, you go to a CSM, and then you'll have, a customer salesperson. That changes, I think, the experience. So, that right there, I think that it kind of tells you a little bit something about the business and the focus. I don't want to speak like in a generalization, but I think it would kind of be safe to say that if you don't have a dedicated person to the customer aspect, to the selling of the customers, then you're not likely paying enough attention to them and paying enough attention to that motion in your business. Most companies have massive amounts of ARR in customer renewals, and they have massive green space and upsell. And most companies fail pretty badly at the customer motion as a whole. I just have observed it over the years. I've only been in a customer marketing role for around a year, earlier in my career. And I've had really positive experiences with customer CSMs, with customer upselling, and with advocacy building. So I have a really strong opinion about it, despite the fact that I haven't spent my life as a customer marketer. That I really just think that most companies, simply put, they just fail here. And like, when I know I'm kind of going off into but putting into perspective, when the market went shit recently, in the last several years, everybody was like, oh, we have to focus on the customer. Everybody's canceling. We have to focus on. It's like, you should have been focusing on the customer. Like, we always should be focusing on the customer. Your customers are your advocates. They are the ones that help build your brand and keep you standing, that bring in people. They want you to succeed. They are your first believers. So that's just starting out with, you have to really look inward and what is focus for the business, and how well set up is your customer motion, your customer success team, the selling team to customers. How well are your customers supported? How happy are they? Do you have a cab? There's just a million different components to even talk about before you say, how does marketing help upsell?
Yeah.
Because we can send emails and we can send campaigns and we can host things. If your customers are getting shit support and they're, utilizing the tool or just getting proper, service, problem fixes, the product team support, if they have bugs, whatever, then it's futile. It's going to cause, looking at the state of your house, around this. I know it was very, the idea is that you and your business know the value of customers and the importance of customers, and you're leveraging your customers. And really great businesses, their products evolve and grow because of their customers. Customer needs something, they're building that for the customer, and their product is evolving, and then they're growing. They're like, oh, we can actually add this as an add-on, and we can offer it across our customers. So it's so much more deep than marketing, right? And I think that's kind of...
You've made a couple of points there. You've made it, firstly, for me, as a presenter asking questions, that is a great way to frame it. It's like, why did this fail, as opposed to, right, Amber, what you do? So thank you for that, for one. The second is, you're right, and I've realized this later, probably later than I should have, that marketing is useless, even on new business, if the product market fit isn't there, if it's not adding value. So I guess customer marketing we can only help when, all the other cogs are kind of in place. If, for example, they are theoretically, and again, I don't want to make this longer than it should, I apologize, but do you come in with a, hey, I know some companies do it, we'll record like a personal interview with you, a case study with you, we'll make you look like a rock star within your organization. Like, are there any kind of actual tactics, I guess, of how marketing can help the CSM make that person feel special that you've done?
I mean, yes, but I honestly think I've been more on the receiving end of it. So I'm a huge advocate for it. And going back to like why I feel so strongly is because most of my experience has been that the customer team, like if you are lucky to have a customer team, period.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Then what is the focus of the customer team? Most of the time, they're pushing product updates and they're all about seat utilization and like renewal. And they're kind of forced into just doing renewal, like renewal education, product update education, and utilization, like increase utilization, make sure everybody's using the tool. There oftentimes isn't a big enough team or a big enough space in the strategy to do really strong enablement and then advocacy. It's like customer teams, I feel like, are always just spread too thin. And they actually get pulled away from doing a lot of that really important stuff. So it's just like, first and foremost, yeah, companies should definitely pay more attention to their customer strategy, and they need to go beyond just utilization. They need to focus on advocacy and enablement, upsell. And one person really is very, don't do that to one person. Just don't do that. Come on, man, Sorry, I got like on my pedestal of strong beliefs. When you have just like a customer advisory council or a group, just any sort of group community aspect, it really can make a difference. I have had absolutely really great positive experiences being brought in. I think one of the really awesome things is being brought in to ask for your opinion on the product, your opinion on what's going on in the space, being on, open panel conversations, maybe being invited for like fireside conversations for some of their external marketing. Case studies are obviously great, but those are a lot of work. So I think that as marketers, we have to try and do as much of the work for them up front and really make it easy for them to do a case study, because anyone who gets asked to do a case study as a marketer, so I guess if you're marketing marketers, it's very different. We know we're like, you need us, like you need this case study. So when it comes to like really like make it easy for the case study to be created. And so doing video interview, like that makes it so much easier. They come in, they distill all the information. Again, coming back to gifting has power for your customers. Simple gestures, even if you're like CSM knows that you're out sick or on a vacation, they send you like a, Uber Eats gift card. Hey, your fridge is probably empty, or, what have you. You're not feeling well, like ordering your favorite soup. Little things, like really little things go a long way, just like sends like that. And of course, just like being thoughtful. So there's a lot of different things. I think you really have to have a strong relationship with your CSM team to make it work, because it really comes down to the CSM at the end of the day, I think.
For sure. Amber, 2 more questions and then the interrogation is over. Next one, implementation of AI. So the buzzword, everyone wants to use AI. Every organization uses it. So a better question is like, maybe you don't use it at all, but like, how do you use it? Or like, what are the simple tools, or how have you incorporated AI into your workflows to kind of help you?
I feel like something that I have kind of said since the very beginning is that we all use AI, and every company has either already had or has built in some component of AI. We don't really notice it sometimes. We really don't, because it's just there. It's hard to think offhand areas that I use it in particular. I honestly think the most recent thing that I can think of me using it is just with actually sending a gift via Reach Desk. There's a AI component feature that's, I think, newer, that you can put in the gift intention and it can just automate a message for you. And and then you can change it. But it kind of just like throws something out there that makes it easier for you to kind of like have something. And then another way that it's being utilized like crazy internally in my organization is Regi AI for sequencing. So they use it for sequencing creation, and they actually use Regi AI, like an actual bot, to do some outbound prospecting. So there's like a literal, I'm like, it's a literal robot doing prospecting in addition to generating sequences for the sales team. And then
does that get good results? Does it? So I've had a lot of heat towards that some of those platforms don't. Obviously, it's not going to do it as well as a human yet, potentially.
I think that's debatable depending on the human.
Well, that's a very valid point. Yeah.
Here's the thing, it makes jobs easier. It's not eliminating them, it's making them easier. I think that even when I've used ChatGPT for things, it's helpful to have something just spit out at you, and then you take it and then you massage it. The other thing I was going to say is that internally for like product marketing and messaging, I'm just forgetting the name of the tool, we use a tool that helps do messaging, product marketing related
like
to
copy AI or something like that.
Yeah, it's not that one. I'm forgetting the name. If I remember it, I'll say it. But it just generates content, as a starting point and a place to just move the process faster. So there's a couple different ones. But yeah, I think like many people out there, I'm kind of it's been around, it's been in tools. We've just given it a name and are calling it and creating an obsession. I think we just need to like keep living our lives and like do things at work and then don't worry about it.
I love your approach to all of this. Yeah, when I first worked for a company in 2017, they were using AI and machine learning back then, but that wasn't catching in emails. It's like that was putting people off. Now it's like more of it gets people in, like in the kind of like sales pitches and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I worked in 2016, 17. I worked for an online e-commerce machine learning tool. And so we basically did, the search optimization for your actual website searches. And it's like, yeah, it's a thing.
We were probably competing. No wonder our company lost. They had no chance going up against you. Right, final question, Amber. And this is one of my favorite questions that's ever been asked. It's from Emily York Goldney. And I encourage you to be as unconventional as possible. Just be yourself, whatever, be crazy. I'm not saying you're crazy, but just like with the idea, be crazy. The question was, if you had unlimited budget to close like a top tier account, like what would you do? And I imagine gifting is going to play a part in it.
Well, sure. I mean, of course, it would be in there, but it would be more like custom Hermes scarves or something. You use it on unlimited budget. No, actually, it would probably be some sort of. I'm just thinking about a friend of mine, Zach Diamond.
Great name.
Yeah, great name. He works at Miro, and I'm forgetting the name of the business unit. It's a very enterprise. He basically does this crazy enterprise ABM stuff. But I'm just forgetting like the name of these centers that like exist at like these massive organizations. But basically he's gone in and either hosted at Miro or goes on site to a customer location. I think it's like called like enterprise briefing or customer briefing or something like that. But basically they get these like crazy on-site experiences. So, I mean, the way I think about it is they're setting up like a learning day or, a learning few days, but it's almost like when you, I don't know, you go to like a South by Southwest and like Google and IBM, they have all these really like set up custom kind of like spaces. They're setting up these really cool custom spaces at these different organizations. I just think that I would do something really cool and big like that, and building out like a customized learning experience for upselling or advocacy, product enablement, that kind of stuff. And then it would just be like a very concierge white glove experience. I think it's not that often that companies get to do true one-to-one or get to do something like this cool. And so it was really fun to learn about what he was doing at Mira. I went to the office in Austin and he kind of walked me through, when you're a customer, this is what it's like when you get into the building. And over here, you'll see like your company's name on this TV. And then we walk you over to the barista station and you get one of those, like, they do the latte art. It has like your company logo or like your face. Or, it was like crazy stuff. Something,
you can get that on pints of Guinness as well now. It's quite impressive.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm sure they do that too. So,
I like that.
that.
So like an experiential innovations
Yeah.
session thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm
think,
sorry to Zach if I totally butchered the beautiful thing that you do.
I want to learn more about it. It sounds amazing. Amber, that's phenomenal. Congratulations, you made it. You're alive. And thank you so much for joining.
And thank you for having me.